Okay. Okay. Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Hi, and welcome to episode 106 of C3 Crystals, Cauldrons, and Cocktails. I'm Ren.
And I'm River.
And today we are going to be talking about pumpkin magic. Also, happy October, like
Yes.
Samhain season, happy Halloween season, spooky season, whatever you want to call it. I
Yes.
am so ready
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
this month, this season, this I'm ready. I'm ready
Me
for
too.
pumpkins. I'm ready for everything.
I'm ready for cold weather. I,
I
I
am
mean, I,
too.
some of the years when the kids were little, it would be so cold they would have to bundle up and you couldn't see their costumes. But lately it's been hot
It
every
has not
year.
been that
Yeah, I'm
cold. Like
I'm ready
it's
for cold.
I know, me too. Like I feel like we're getting like glimpses of like cold, like subtle
Mm-hmm.
little wee, this is what it feels like. And then it's like, no, I'm just
Never
kidding. Yeah,
mind.
never
Yeah.
mind. Here's 90-degree weather again. And it's kind of confusing because like you want to wake up and put on a sweater and take out your dog, but then you
Mm-hmm.
stand outside for like 10 minutes and it
And then you're
increases in like
sweating.
5 degrees in that 10 minutes, and then you're sweating and your dog is sweating. And yes, I am speaking from personal experience.
Yeah,
um
I miss us when we would do our podcasts at my house outside on the deck when it was cool enough for that. So maybe we can
mhm.
do that some. And
Yeah.
soon maybe.
Yeah, I re-listened to a couple of our beginning ones not too long ago, and you could hear everything outside. Like the audio, we were like, this is
Oh,
good audio. And
oh
then
no.
and then looking at how our audio is now, I'm not saying it's perfect. It's much better than what it was, but looking back, I was like, I used to think that was good audio, and now I'm like, ooh, that's not good
I
audio. So
know.
I'm like, what is future, River and Ren going to be
I know. I don't know.
thinking about this audio? We're probably gonna be like, ooh, no, that wasn't good either.
Hey, we're doing the best we can
We're doing the
right
best we
now
can.
with what we've got right
Yeah,
now.
yeah. But before
So,
we get into pumpkin magic, what are we drinking?
oh
Um,
yeah.
so since we are doing pumpkins for this episode, we wanted to do a pumpkin inspired cocktail. Woo-hoo.
Yes.
So we call this one pumpkin potion, and it's vanilla vodka with muddled cranberries, simple syrup, and pumpkin spice, which I do love a good pumpkin spice.
Yeah, me too.
It's really good. I tried to make my own. I don't know if I said this in the last one. I tried to make my own pumpkin creamer.
I don't think you did say. I don't know. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I had pureed pumpkin, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I'm gonna try to make like a coffee creamer, like a pumpkin coffee creamer.
Oh, fun.
And it didn't turn out that well. And now it tasted like pumpkin milk. Like if you wanted pumpkin milk, it was perfect. It was amazing, tasty. But then as soon as you put it into the coffee, it didn't, like, you had
It,
no pumpkin flavor at all.
interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
You'll have to
Yeah.
keep playing with that.
Yeah, I will. But anyways, this drink is really fun and delicious, and it tastes like pumpkin pie without
Yeah,
being too pumpkin pie-y.
yeah. I mean, there are some people that don't like pumpkin pie, but I think you'd still like this cocktail because it's not
Yeah.
super strong pumpkin
Yeah,
pie
yeah.
flavor.
See, okay, listen, I have beef with my in-laws
Yeah.
because they always say, no, we don't like pumpkin pies. Okay. But I'm
Okay.
like, they always get like, and I'm not bashing on Costco or anything because I love Costco. I love a good
Hmm.
Costco run. But the, standard store-bought pumpkin pies, and they always get Costco pumpkin
Hmm.
pies around that
Hmm.
time of year, this time of year. And they don't like it because it's that
Have you
like
fed them
condensed. Yes, I have.
yours? Yeah, because yours
Yes.
is amazing.
And I just don't think that they want to understand that it's not the same. in their eyes, my pumpkin pie is like a fluffy, light.
It's a no bake pie, so it's not
It's
heavy and
amazing.
thick.
Oh
Yeah,
man, it's amazing. That's what I think about when I think about pumpkin pie, not the
me
stuff that
too.
they're used to. And so when I told them, when I first like was with my husband, I was like, I'm gonna make you a pumpkin pie that will change your life.
Hmm.
And they didn't even really try it.
The
So,
that pumpkin pie recipe is in my Samhain planner. All my Sabbath planners that I make,
mhm.
I do some free recipes in there, and that pumpkin pie recipe is in that planner.
It's so good.
It is
It's
so
it's
good.
so good. But I mean, maybe they're just not people for pumpkin, and that
Maybe
that
there
would
are,
make
yeah,
sense. But
maybe.
at the same time, my sweets, like I'm a great baker. Like that's where
Hmm.
I'm like I feel like I've really met my mark in my
Hmm.
kitchen witchery, I guess you could say. Is like my baking of sweets is like out of this world.
Amazing. Yeah.
And so I was kind of bummed when they were like, me, it's just pumpkin pie. I'm like, no, it's not just pumpkin pie. You can't
What,
insult my pumpkin pie like that.
right? You can make it for me
Right. And
anytime.
so I'm super excited because last year, I know I'm off topic, but kind of on topic because we're still talking about pumpkin.
Pumpkins,
Um,
yes.
last year, usually I do like a normal crust. But last year, since I mean, my gluten problems aren't relatively new, but last year was the first year I tried to have a little bit more for me than for everybody
Hmm.
else. And I bought graham cracker crust that's gluten free.
Oh,
And that's what I used for my pumpkin pie instead of like a normal crust. And it was amazing.
I
It was
like it
phenomenal.
without the crust. My husband does the keto diet, so
Yeah.
I make a crustless. It's like pumpkin chiffon. It's not pudding. It's not the consistency of pudding. It's like pumpkin fluff. It's
It's
so
fluff. Yeah.
good. Yeah.
It's
Oh,
amazing. And I mean, I don't know, but the graham
but
cracker crust like
I like to
changed my
put them,
world.
yeah, without the crust, I put them in little fancy like wine glasses
Oh
or champagne
yeah. Oh
glasses,
my gosh,
and
they're
then they
so
look so
good.
fancy. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like what I want for this coming season and like what I want for like Samhain food and all of that. So
Hmm.
definitely pumpkin pie is on that list.
I think
And
so.
everything. Okay, anyways, enough with
Okay.
pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin magic.
Yeah, what is pumpkin magic? I will say I was super excited about this topic and all of our other coming topics for
Hmm.
this month
Season.
because
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever done themed episodes before
I
like
don't
this.
think so either.
And so I'm super excited. So, pumpkin magic refers to the practice of incorporating pumpkins into various spiritual or magical rituals. It's kind of like, you know, throwing a pumpkin in your on your altar or
Hmm.
whatever it may be. And so often drawing on the symbolism and energy of what is associated with pumpkins.
Yeah, for sure.
So magic in this context refers to, the symbolism, intention, and energy manipulation to create the desired outcomes or connect with the spiritual forces that pumpkins can help bring, or something specific that pumpkins are more in tune with than,
Yeah.
maybe a gourd. I don't know.
I mean, and pumpkins are everywhere. It really is, and it's a big part of pop culture these days, and
Yes.
not just a witchy thing. It's
No.
everybody's into
Yes.
pumpkin. I mean, think of
Yes.
pumpkin spice coffees and the
Oh
pumpkin
man, I love it.
decorations
I
and
love it.
the pumpkin everything.
I love
So
it all.
me too. With
Pumpkins, pumpkins everywhere. Me oh my.
right. So with pumpkins being such a favorite symbol for the fall and a great food, of course it makes sense to use it in our magical practice.
Yes.
I'd say that pumpkin magic is the use of pumpkins in your practice involving spells, probably kitchen magic more than anything else, but it's
Hmm.
not limited to that for sure. And we need to look at what those correspondences are for this
Yes.
wonderful vegetable. Oh, but actually, did you know, and I'm sure you did,
Hmm.
pumpkins are actually fruits, not
No,
vegetables.
nah.
Yep. A fruit
Nah.
is something edible that a plant produces, while a vegetable is a plant that's edible.
No. I
She's like,
mean,
nope, not buying it.
I don't even think I considered a pumpkin to be a fruit or a vegetable.
A tomato is a fruit.
A tomato is a fruit, but I'd never consider them, you know, like a fruit or a vegetable. Like
Yeah,
it's just a pumpkin.
there's a meme that says, intelligence is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad.
Oh, that's a good yes.
But pumpkins are actually fruits. So anyway,
Oh,
so let's talk a little bit about the history of pumpkins and pumpkin magic. But
oh, okay.
first, I want to say where the name, how I like to do. The
Yes.
name of pumpkin originated from the Greek word pepon, and I'm about to sneeze. Hold on. Oh my gosh.
Holy shoot, you just blew out my earballs.
I tried to cover the microphone,
You
your
just
earballs. Sorry, you can edit that out. Um, so it comes from the Greek word pepon, which means large melon. And then the French, who have the nasal, you and I both took French, so they
hmm
have that nasal way of speaking, and that they changed it into pompo, which the English then changed into pompon and pumpion. And
Pompion.
then the American settlers used the word pumpkin today. But did you know the first time the word pumpkin was ever used was in the fairy tale Cinderella?
Ooh, that's really cool.
Isn't that neat?
I did not know that.
I didn't either until I was doing this research.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I would have never I like Pompion.
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 That makes me think of the word for butterfly, which is papillon.
Yeah, butterfly is papillon. Um, so okay, anyways, pumpkin magic, as specified for practice doesn't have to have it doesn't have a long documented history, right?
Hmm.
So let me just tell you, the use of pumpkins in magical and spiritual contexts can be traced back to various cultures and beliefs. And so some of them are like the Native American traditions, and
Hmm.
that's kind of where it kind of like most of my information came from, but at the same time, it was very, what's the word I'm looking for? Not lacking, but there's not as
But
much.
but kind of lacking. I mean,
Yeah.
it isn't something that has a rich magical history, like a lot of the herbs and stuff we talk about are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some of the only things that I could really find with pumpkins in rituals and magic were sort of in the Native American traditions where pumpkins are native to the Americas and were
Hmm.
cultivated by indigenous peoples long before European contact.
Hmm.
And so Native American tribes use pumpkins for food as well as their seeds for fibers.
Hmm.
So some tribes might have had spiritual or magical association with pumpkins because they provided for like sustenance and the
Hmm.
well-being for their people. So although like we don't really specifically know, we can have ideas because we know that the Native Americans were very like they had their own rituals. They had,
Hmm.
their what's the word I'm looking for? Like their own
I mean, they had
spiritual
their own
connections.
clothes
And I mean,
practices and things,
it's
but
completely understandable and,
but
respected.
I know they probably thought of the pumpkin as being a magical fruit
Yeah,
that they would use. I
I
mean,
mean,
I
just as
know.
like how other civilizations and histories go, a lot of the stuff that is food and provides for a civilization is seen as something holy, magical, whatever you want to
Of
call it.
course, yeah, it helped them survive. I do know that they would take strips of dried pumpkin and weave them into mats. How cool would that be? A
Oh,
pumpkin
yeah,
mat.
that is
And then
cool.
they also roasted long strips of pumpkin over the open fire and ate them, which I
Hmm
bet would be fabulous.
Delicious.
And then the origin of the pumpkin pie occurred when the colonists they sliced off the top of a pumpkin, which they didn't know pumpkins over in Europe.
Hmm
It was here. And so then they removed the seeds and they filled the insides with milk, spices, and honey. And then they
Ooh,
baked the pumpkin in a hot ashes. And that was the first, quote, pumpkin pie. And they probably did have that at the first Thanksgiving.
that sounds delicious.
And I have another, did you know?
Hmm.
Pumpkins are a member of the gourd family, which includes cucumbers, honeydew melons, cantaloupe, watermelons, and zucchini. And these plants are native to North and Central America and Mexico. And
Hmm.
but they now grow on all continents except Antarctica.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so
That's
now they
very
are in
cool.
Europe. They
Yeah.
have them everywhere except for Antarctica.
I didn't know that. So, like, I know gourds and all of that, but I didn't
Hmm.
know that a watermelon or a cucumber were considered a part of the gourd family.
Yeah, I didn't either. That's cool.
And it makes sense thinking about like the how they are. It
Yeah,
makes sense,
they've
but
got the flesh and the seeds in the middle, and
yeah,
yeah.
interesting. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. But more about pumpkins and I guess what we can do with them and how they pertain to the seasons and all of that,
Hmm.
where we have harvest festivals, that we can
Yes,
incorporate pumpkins into, and we love a good harvest festival.
absolutely.
So obviously they're associated with like celebrations in this time, a part of the
Hmm.
harvest and everything. So in the cultures around the world, since I guess they've been expanded throughout the world now.
Hmm.
In many cultures, the harvest season is a great time to give gratitude, abundance, and rituals to ensure a successful harvest.
Hmm.
So these festivals also involve like ritual dances and offerings to honor the land and ensure prosperity. I was going to say
Hmm.
prosperity. I knew that wasn't right. Prosperity, like elongated the syllables there. And so with this, you could set pumpkins around, your bonfire and do ritual dances. You can do pumpkin carvings. You can have pumpkin pie. You can have pumpkin drinks, all of this. And this would be a part of your harvest
Ooh, we
festival.
could use the pumpkin, take the stuff outside out of the insides
The
and make
guts.
drinks in it. It could be
Oh, it would
a
be like a
little
punch
pitcher, a
bowl.
punch bowl.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
but wait. What would be slimy enough to want to put into a pumpkin
I mean, it doesn't have to
drink
be
wise?
slimy. It would just get that flavor, I think. We're going to
Let's
have to
let's
experiment with
ponder
this.
about that.
We will
Let's think about
ponder.
that. Yes.
Of course. Okay.
And then definitely pumpkins are used during Samhain or Halloween.
Hmm.
So the modern practice of carving pumpkins into jack-o'-lanterns for Halloween also has Celtic origins, origins,
Hmm.
origins, origins,
Origins.
origins tied to
Oranges. They have
oranges.
oranges,
Oh, we're talking about something that is orange, but not oranges.
not oranges.
Where Samhain is a Gaelic festival,
Hmm.
marks the end of the harvest season, beginning of winter. And this is where it was, we know that this is the time for the boundary between living and the
Hmm.
spirit worlds where they're thin. And I'm
Hmm.
having like complete deja vu because we said some of
We
this in
did.
our in
I
our
was
other
gonna
our bonus
say,
episode.
y'all, we did an episode on the After Dark. So come and become a patron or subscribe on Buzzsprout, and you can get those episodes as well. We went more into detail with Samhain
Yeah.
rituals. And
Uh-huh.
so, like you, I'm getting confused because we
Yeah, I'm
said a
like,
lot of
we
this
already
in that
talked about
episode.
this, but I'm like, wait, no, we didn't. We didn't talk
Yep.
about this.
Yep.
So, it is believed that, the boundary it's thin,
Hmm.
between the spirit world and our world. And so this is where people would carve pumpkins and actually they would carve turnips
Yep. It started with turnips.
uh-huh to ward off these malevolent spirits. And so this is kind of a ritual in itself to ward off
Yeah.
evil.
The Irish started with the turnips because there were no pumpkins over there. Pumpkins were over here in the
Hmm.
Americas and Mexico.
Hmm.
And so it was turnips over there, which I can't imagine. I may have to try to carve a turnip, but I don't think it would be very easy. They're hard.
I
But
don't know.
anyway,
Try not to
so
stab yourself.
when the Irish came over to America,
Mhm.
they discovered pumpkins and they're like,
Pumpkins, yes.
whoa, this is
Whoa,
so
this
much
is
easier.
better.
Let's do that.
Let's do that. Yeah. And so, along with other gourds and all of that, many cultures believe that the pumpkins would have protective qualities when placed outside their homes,
Mm-hmm.
and in others they were associated with like divination and even fortune telling.
Mm-hmm.
So, pumpkins are also seen as a protective measure from the fairies and the fae.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's also in the Irish and Scottish folklore, where it was believed that when placing a pumpkin outside, and this is obviously after, immigration, like
Mm-hmm.
from the new world to
To
like
the
to the
yeah,
new world from
yeah.
the old world and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's believed that placing a pumpkin outside the home would protect against, malicious or mischievous fairies who might otherwise enter and cause havoc.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, with the warding off of the evil spirits, it specifically says jack-o'-lanterns. So like a carved pumpkin is the one
Mm-hmm.
to ward off. So don't just place a pumpkin outside of your door thinking that that's going to do the trick. It needs to have that, scary face. It needs to have
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is to scare the spirits. And it's usually rooted in the idea that the illuminated faces would scare off the malevolent entities and keep them away during the thinning of the veil.
Yeah, I mean, we did talk about on our Samhain rituals about you don't have to necessarily carve a face. You could carve a sigil.
Yes, we
Yeah,
did.
which I think is a great idea.
It's a
Okay,
great idea.
I have to tell you about the origin of the jack-o'-lantern. There's a story.
Okay, so this is
So,
where it's from because you were getting confused.
yes, I thought
Yes.
we've already recorded this episode because anyway,
Yeah, no, no,
I
no.
was okay. I still have COVID brain. I am almost better now, but I'm still not quite there. Okay. So the origin of the jack-o'-lantern. So people have been making jack-o'-lanterns at Halloween for centuries, and this practice originated from an Irish myth about a man nicknamed Stingy Jack.
Okay.
According to the story, Stingy Jack invited the devil to have a drink with him. And true to his name, Stingy Jack didn't want to pay for his drink. So he convinced the devil to turn himself into a coin so that Jack could pay for their drinks.
I've
So
heard this.
yes, so the devil was
Okay.
like, okay. And then Jack decided to keep the money and he put it in his pocket next to a silver cross that prevented the devil from being able to change back into his devil self.
Okay.
So Jack eventually freed the devil under the condition that he would not bother Jack for 1 year and that should Jack die, he would not claim his soul. So the year comes to an end, and Jack is like, I got to figure something out because my year's almost up. So he tricked the devil into climbing into a tree to pick a piece of fruit. And while he was up in the tree, Jack carved the sign of the cross on the tree's bark so that the devil couldn't get down. And he kept him there until the devil promised not to bother him for 10 more years.
Okay. See,
So
I was like, why only a year? Why not,
I know, right?
10 years
So
or forever?
soon after that, Jack died. As the legend goes, God was like, "You're not welcome up here in heaven. You're an unsavory character. You're not going to be allowed up here."
Uh-huh.
And the devil, who was upset by being tricked by Jack not just once but twice, he was
Uh-huh.
like, "You're not allowed in hell either." And so he sent Jack off into the dark night with only a burning coal to light his way. Jack put the coal into a carved out turnip and has been roaming the earth ever since. So the Irish began to refer to this ghostly figure as Jack of the Lantern because he carried this
Okay.
turnip lantern, and
Uh-huh.
that eventually shortened to Jack o' Lantern.
Okay.
Now, there's also a little twist on this story that it said that phenomenon, this supernatural phenomenon known as ignis fatuus, which is foolish fire. I
Mm-hmm.
always associated that with the will-o'-wisp, the little floating orb of light that dances and it kind of draws you off of the path.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking
Yeah, I
about?
do know what you're talking about.
So they say that that's actually Jack using his little turnip lantern to draw people off the path to their deaths because he's bored, and that was something that
Oh,
would amuse him, and he was stuck, wandering in purgatory. And
interesting.
they do say that iron is said to ward him off. So that's another way to protect
Oh,
yourself
okay.
from Stingy Jack. So yeah,
I've heard
that's the
this one
story of
before.
Stingy Jack.
Did we
Yeah.
tell this before on the
Maybe
podcast?
we might have done it, because I know we've talked about every year that when Samhain comes, we do a little bit of discussion.
Yeah,
So
and every
it
year
may
we
be we
always forget
have,
about the previous year, what we talked about.
but every year I think we get better. I
Yeah,
think this
so
is
like
a
this,
better
yeah, it's
story.
better. It might be the same story, but definitely told better.
Maybe.
Um,
Depends on how much we drink during the episode that we're talking
true,
on.
true. No, but I definitely heard the story above, but not like the bonus where that he's the one like in the woods holding a
Hmm.
turnip lantern. Like I've never heard that part before, and
Yeah,
that's
because
very interesting.
I always considered those the will-o-wisps, and I mean, I played computer games, and they've got will-o-wisps and stuff in some of the games, but
Yeah.
and they're supposed to lead you into the swamps and you die. I never
Wow.
had heard that it was Jack doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Interesting.
mean, in my head, I was like, man, he gets to roam the planet. And now, again, define roam because if he has to walk from point A to point B, that's a long distance and
And
everything.
if no one can see him himself other just than his little lantern, I don't know. He would be
Yeah,
lonely.
it would be lonely. But I feel like at first I would be vibing. I would go to all the locations I would want to see.
People
Scotland
watch,
first.
man. Yeah.
People watch, yeah. Um, But you can also use pumpkins and in your kitchen witchery, and it has
Yes.
connotations to folk medicine.
Yes.
So throughout history, people have used herbs and plants and all of that for their healing properties. And
Hmm.
pumpkins are notorious and also a versatile food, but they're notorious for their kitchen witchery and medicine. So they
Hmm.
provide nourishment, fertility, I guess not bonuses, but fertility. What's the word I'm looking for?
I think just fertility it was works.
Fertility,
I
help,
mean,
and protection as well.
I had heard that too, that it's a fertility type
Hmm. I
item
feel like
that
everything is though. We always talk about it. It's like, yep, fertility, and I'm like, everything is. Are you sure?
is everything.
Are
We
you
should have
sure?
lots of babies. Well, we actually do have lots of babies running around the world. So
There.
maybe everything is a
I mean, we're at
fertility.
like an all-time high with the world population, high
An all-time
population.
high.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And babies are still being born.
It's because of the pumpkins.
It's because of the pumpkins. I would be curious to know if 9 months after Halloween, how many babies are born. Is that a high,
What's
right when,
9 months after Halloween?
mm, so October, November, December, January, February,
July?
March, April, May, June, July. Yeah. So I wonder if July is a big month for babies.
What season is that?
Summer.
No. Thank you. I meant I meant zodiac wise.
Oh, I don't know. Like,
What
duh.
season? Duh. No, that's not what I meant. Okay. Anyways.
Okay. I have did you know information. There
Okay,
was a
Miss,
lot of
did
did
you
you knows.
know July's in the summer?
Well, not down under,
Okay.
it's not. Hey.
Okay, I guess. Wow.
Okay. So did you know the heaviest pumpkin was grown in Belgium in 2016 and weighed a whopping
Whoa.
2,624 pounds? The
Wow.
heaviest pumpkin in the US was born in New Hampshire in 2018, and it weighed 2,528 pounds. And the largest pumpkin pie ever baked was baked in Ohio in 2010, and it weighed 3,699 pounds and was over 20 feet in diameter. That is one hell of a pumpkin pie.
I have
Think of
many questions.
how much Cool Whip are you going to need for the
You for
pumpkin pie that
real?
size?
I have many questions. Like that pumpkin pie better have fed everyone in Ohio and the neighboring states.
Well, how did they cook it? How do you
That's what I'm
bake it?
saying. Like,
It
how do
won't
you
fit in the
bake that?
oven.
Unless if it was like one of my pies where it's a no-bake pumpkin pie. But
Oh,
that's a lot
yeah,
of damn eggs. You gotta
that
have, that's a
is.
lot of eggs.
Yeah.
That's a lot of eggs. Because what? I need like four to bake a normal size pie, four
Mm-hmm.
eggs. And that's like,
Mm-hmm.
you only need yolks in certain points and you only need whites in
The
certain
whites at
points.
certain points. Mm-hmm.
And that's just outrageous to me. And then how do you get a pumpkin that big? How does it grow
Yeah.
that big?
How
Like,
do you grow
what
a
are the
pumpkin that big?
circumstances like you need? Like, you obviously need plenty of space.
I mean,
And
that would certainly be big enough for Cinderella's carriage.
yeah,
Actually, I don't know how big it would actually be. They didn't tell
actually,
me dimensions.
but the poundage,
Yeah, you would think.
you would think, but maybe it's not even that big. Well, I mean, how much is how much
How much is a ton?
how much is I was gonna ask you the same thing, but also
I
how
think
much
it
is like
isn't
a
it.
normal pumpkin? Because then you can like
Hmm.
gauge a normal pumpkin size and be like, okay, so that's 10 pounds.
Yeah, I feel
And
like
then
a normal pumpkin, like the big ones that we get to carve, would be like 8 to 10 pounds,
eight
right?
to 10, that's what I'm thinking. So multiply that by
Like
2,000.
2,600. Jesus. Okay.
Okay. People who grow pumpkins pop off.
Yeah, they're all like, oh, these girls, they
Oh,
know nothing.
whatever. Yeah, you are
Let's
dumb.
educate these girls. So,
Yeah.
bring it,
Yeah.
bring it.
Don't. You're gonna hurt my feelings.
Okay, bring it nicely.
Oh, yeah, lightly.
Educate us nicely.
Yeah. Um, and then so we talked a little bit about like symbolism of pumpkins where they provide nourishment, fertility, protection. So pumpkins in witchcraft, we can use those
Hmm.
symbolic significances and
Hmm.
incorporate them into our craft. And then we can also, during this season, or incorporate them in the context of, our harvest and autumn.
Hmm.
So, and they are also often associated with transformation as well.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Did you say abundance?
Oh, and abundance.
Yeah, I feel like you might have
See,
said that.
but I feel like abundance also can go with fertility.
True.
I
Although I don't
that's
want quadruplets or anything.
No, but it can also see you have to be careful when you use pumpkins.
Right?
If you're
Right.
going for fertility, you better not kick into the abundance.
But I also was reading that pumpkins are associated with creativity, vitality, divination, shape shifting,
Oh,
which is kind of
true.
transformation.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
transformation, but also shape shifting. I think about the carving aspect. Is like you
Oh, good
transform
point.
the outside. Yeah.
And then death and the harvest, of course. And then
Hmm.
here's a fun one, granting wishes. I found a lot
Ooh.
about pumpkins and wishes,
Okay, you
which
know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get a pumpkin and I'm gonna rub it and hope a genie comes out so it can, yeah, and like I can make wishes and have all my dreams come true.
that would be amazing.
Hmm.
The crystals associated with pumpkins are orange calcite, citrine, and pyrite. And there's all kinds of actual colors of pumpkins. They can be
Oh
white. I love the
yeah.
white ones. They're beautiful.
They are very
Uh,
pretty.
green, yellow, orange. There's all kinds of shades.
You
I think,
know, we
go
went to
ahead.
the store earlier and they already have pumpkins out.
Really?
They already had pumpkins out at the, mid-September, end of September.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to the store. I I don't know. I want to say like September 15th or something like that. And they had this beautiful collection of pumpkins, but they were like muted colors.
Interesting.
And I love a good muted,
Yeah,
muddled
you do.
color. And it was like a beautiful, like orangey
Did you buy
ish.
any?
No, because it wasn't the season and it would go bad before we could even, use
Well,
it.
I think if you don't cut them, they last a fair amount of time.
Mm,
Yeah.
eh. Hopefully they're still there when we do decide to buy, but
Yeah.
yeah.
According to Scott Cunningham, who is was a witch, which
Hmm.
actually Greg is related to him, our
Ooh,
patron. Yeah, he discovered that Scott Cunningham was his cousin or something.
That's cool.
But
That's
according to
very
Scott
cool.
Cunningham, unless I've gotten that mixed up, I think that's right.
Sorry,
The
Greg.
pumpkin, yeah, sorry, Greg. The pumpkin is ruled by the water element as well as the moon,
I can
but
see that.
pumpkin spice is associated with fire,
Huh.
which pumpkin
Why?
spice doesn't have any pumpkin in it. So it's actually, it's got the cinnamon and the pumpkin pie flavors like paprika, and
Oh,
there is no pumpkin
interesting.
in pumpkin spice.
That's interesting.
Hmm.
Did you know this has nothing to do with pumpkins or anything, but did you know that artificial flavors of raspberry
Yeah.
is secreted from beaver like sweat or
Ooh.
beaver it's like a so like they secrete a smell from like their glands type of thing. It's not the sweat because they don't sweat like, how we sweat, but
Yeah.
it provides the same taste as like a raspberry. So they use that instead of real raspberries to give you artificial flavors. So it's like
That's disgusting.
beaver gland juice.
I'm gonna have a champagne
Yummy.
and beaver sweat drink today.
Yeah, so I mean, I was mortified when I found that out because I love raspberry stuff.
I do
Raspberry
too.
stuff is so good, and now
Well,
it's
just make your own,
yeah, for
which
real.
you're good at that stuff.
Yeah,
That's you're the kitchen witch. So
but when I found that out, I was mortified.
so
Beaver.
Ren's gonna go out and buy a whole bunch of beavers and sweat them so that she can make she's making a horrible face
Ugh,
so that she can make raspberry
it's
flavored stuff.
so
That's
nasty.
gross.
I know, but now talking about pumpkin spice, it doesn't even have any pumpkin in it. I'm like, okay, well, the raspberry flavoring doesn't even have raspberries and it's beaver
That's
juice.
crazy. The deities corresponding with the pumpkin are any lunar or water deity that you might want to work with.
Okay, I could see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I mean, for some reason, it just feels right. The pumpkin associating with the moon, it
For
just
sure.
feels right.
That it
So
makes me think of Linus from Charlie Brown out in the pumpkin field with the moon up waiting for the great pumpkin to come.
maybe I'll get canceled for this, but I have never really seen Charlie Brown or anything.
Really?
Really, I've never really
I
seen
watched it when I was
any
a kid.
of
Okay, so
them.
now I've dated myself. I'm
Well, I
old.
mean, a lot
Okay.
of people really love Charlie Brown.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I never really understood why because I never watched Charlie
Mm-hmm.
Brown. So it's just one of those
Yeah,
things.
it's just an iconic cartoon.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it's iconic.
everybody can kind of associate with Charlie Brown, who has all these horrible things. He just has the worst luck, just like a lot of us do.
Like
So
me right now. Yeah.
yeah, so we can all associate with him very
Okay.
well,
Maybe
empathize with him.
maybe I'll go watch some Charlie Brown after this
You have
and
to watch It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
okay, I'll watch It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown first.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
But some more ways to that pumpkin magic can be approached, you
Okay.
know. So, how we've said like the pumpkins can symbolize like transformation, all of that, yada yada. Like not like we've said it like three other times before. Because and they also symbolize change, which goes into transformation as they start out as like really small seeds and then grow
Mm-hmm.
into these vibrant quote unquote fruits, whatever you
Fruits.
say. And they can be used as a representation of your personal growth. If you need personal growth, you can incorporate pumpkin and
Mm-hmm.
development. If you need help, boosting yourself a little bit more, you can incorporate pumpkin into your practice this season.
Well, I'm
And
round. I associate with the roundness of a pumpkin.
wow, you really went there, didn't you?
I did.
I'm not gonna acknowledge anymore. And I mean, speaking of round, their round shape might also be seen as a symbol of wholeness and unity,
Okay.
not for the shape of what you are. So with the symbolism of transformation, the process of a pumpkin growing from a tiny seed into a large fruit has that symbolization of growth.
Right.
And I feel like when they're being grown and first cultivated, that's where the magic starts in a
Mm-hmm.
way. So it sometimes is used in personal spells, or
Mm-hmm.
like you can do, I don't know about putting chunks of pumpkin in like a jar spell,
Yeah, I
because
think it would.
it biodegrades and it
Yeah.
rots.
Unless you could
So
make the jar spell somehow anaerobic, get all
yeah, I
the air.
some
I don't know.
like maybe if it's in like a mason jar where you can, you know,
Yeah.
seal it. Seal it. Maybe that would work. But I would definitely say maybe uh putting a pumpkin on your altar, or maybe even cutting it and having bits and pieces of something that you will then discard or burn or whatever it may be.
Hmm. I
Um,
like the idea of leaving the chunks of pumpkin as an offering. Like
that's true.
if you work
Yes.
with the fae, put a little honey on it and put it out in the
Uh-huh.
yard.
Ooh, that actually sounds
Yeah.
really good.
Hmm.
But these rituals and spells or whatever it is you can do can be aimed for personal development, change, overcoming challenges,
Hmm.
anything like that. Pumpkins are also closely associated with the autumn season, whereas like we're cycling through seasons from,
Hmm.
we're coming from summer into fall, and then we're going
Hmm.
to winter. So this ties into the nature of like the cycle of life and
Yeah,
death
for
and
sure.
rebirth. So
Hmm.
pumpkin magic can align with the rhythms of nature and the changing seasons, helping the pumpkin itself be connected and helping you connect to the energies around you through that pumpkin and the seasons changing.
I like that.
Hmm. You can also, there's also ancestral connections between pumpkins and lineages that you can use a pumpkin to help connect you and all of that.
Okay.
So, they're mostly used in rituals to honor ancestors and to connect with that lineage. And during times of remembrance and celebration, such as Samhain or, the Day of the Dead,
Hmm.
pumpkins can be offered as a symbol of
Continuity.
continuity between generations.
Hmm. Yeah, I really do think they're, excuse me, a great offering for your altar. But like you said, you got to be, they're going to degrade, so you want to keep it
Yeah.
fresh.
Yeah.
But you can do one of the little ones that you don't cut, or you can
Mm-hmm.
actually
Mm-hmm.
put the pumpkin flesh on your altar. You don't want ants in your home or anything like that.
Yeah.
So be
Maybe
careful.
in like a dish or something
Mm-hmm.
with like maybe a lid. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Or in a jar. I don't know.
And you
Something.
can use pumpkin seeds in jar spells because I don't think those would
Ooh,
biodegrade.
yeah.
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 So, you just want to dry them out. You can use them in jar spells, spell bags, or charms, and those will aid in bringing energy that is associated with prosperity, luck, divination, or any of the other things we've talked about, transformation, etc.
Yeah.
And did you know? I have a lot of did you
A
knows
lot of
today.
did you knows?
Each pumpkin has about 500 seeds.
Oh, that's a lot.
And did you know that the flowers that grow on the pumpkin vines are also edible? In fact,
Oh.
every part of the pumpkin is edible, even the stem.
But isn't the stem pokey?
Yeah.
I
So
feel like that
whether
would
you
hurt.
would want to eat it, I don't know, but it is edible.
But they're all edible. That's cool.
Hmm.
See, the pumpkin provides in many ways.
Yeah, it does. I mean, and if you were starving out there and you had a pumpkin, you could utilize every bit of that pumpkin plant.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
Um, Talking about seasonal energy off of that, pumpkins are or could be used in your spells related to releasing old habits as well and
Oh,
embracing that change, but they're also really meant for preparing for the winter months.
that's a
Because
good point. I feel
that's
like
all what the harvest festival is. Like we're
all about,
using
yeah,
everything that's left. I mean, I guess not nowadays, because nowadays we have an abundance of everything.
we have
I would,
freezers and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
But when it was super important, pumpkins were something that people used to help them embrace that change and
Hmm.
help them prepare for the winter months.
Hmm.
So, I mean, off of that, it's really intertwined with that transition and everything like that.
Hmm.
Because with autumn, like, the seasons and the vibrant leaves change from their bright green to red to
I like
orange,
to
gold.
I like to think that autumn is a time, it's showing you that change can be beautiful.
Yes.
You know, a lot
Yes.
of us are like, I don't want to change. I'm comfortable the way I am. But the colors, like you said, of the leaves and all of that that's nature showing us that change can be beautiful.
And
Yeah.
it definitely can. Um, that was very good of how you said that. Very, and I'm over here stuttering. Very good.
That was done, did good.
That was very good. Okay. But you can also use pumpkin in reflection and inner work as well. So as the nature around slows down and prepares for the winter, you have autumn invite us or you to turn inward to reflect on the past couple of months and how everything has gone.
Hmm.
So, I mean, you can meditate with pumpkins, you can, you know, use it as a tool. I feel like, I mean, I said this in, I can't remember if it was our last episode or if it was
Or
our
in the
bonus
Samhain.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I was talking about, I guess it was our clairvoyance episode
Oh,
where you can use the clairvoyance as a tool. But whenever you think of tool, you think of a
a
actual
physical
item.
thing.
And
Yeah.
so, but then at the same time, you don't think of maybe a pumpkin as a tool,
Yeah, that's true.
so your pumpkin can be a tool for introspection and considering areas of your life you need to bring attention to or what you need to be moving forward in. The pumpkin can be a tool. So now every single time we say tools, instead of just saying athame or
Hmm.
whatever it may be, I'm going to be like, grab your fruits and vegetables and all of
Yeah,
that, because
they
those
can
are
be
tools too.
tools. Yeah, I feel like the pumpkin can also be used in beauty spells and for
Mm.
self-care type of spells. And I mean, you can make like a mix of pumpkin puree, apple cider vinegar, and an egg and use it as a mask on your face. It's soothing. I have done it once before, and you can use pumpkin in beauty products, you know, as a, what do you call it? The thing that you exfoliates,
Yes,
as an
yes.
exfoliator. So yeah, all kinds of beauty techniques that you can use with
Yeah.
pumpkins as well.
I like that. I hadn't even thought about that.
Hmm.
See, we keep learning stuff all the time
From each other. I
from
love
each
it.
other. We don't know everything.
No, for sure we don't.
And
Absolutely.
that's why I love doing these episodes.
Me too.
You can also use pumpkins for grounding. I don't
Huh.
know. There's a pun in there somewhere. And rooting.
Okay.
So, as the earth prepares for winter, you need to kind of have a sense of place or a sense of grounding. And now I can't remember what episode we talked about grounding in, but
Hmm.
you need to ground. It's, I think, important. And so pumpkin
Vital. Yeah.
magic, yeah, can be grounding as well. So helping you connect to Earth's energy and anchor yourself to that present moment by working with pumpkins to cultivate that sense of stability, security,
I
rootedness, if
I
you
think
say.
there is something about the late summer crops that
Hmm.
just feel earthy
They
and
do. And
rooting
I
and
mean, it
grounding.
might be the colors of them. It might be
Maybe.
like, I mean, I don't know, because even like, the wheat strips,
Hmm.
they feel very earthy
It
and
could be instinctual in humanity that
yeah,
because that's what we had to have that to survive back
yeah,
in the day. And
yeah,
maybe it's something in our DNA, but I agree with that.
yeah, yeah. And I agree with that. Like it's instinctual that we feel that
Hmm.
way, but we're over here in our modern world and we're like, I
Hmm.
feel this way. And people are like, you're weird for feeling that way.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Well, I think
weird.
most people just don't think about it. I was thinking about this
Yeah.
today. I was driving, I had my hair done today. And so I was driving back and I was looking at the beautiful leaves and I was like, there's magic everywhere, but everybody is so busy with their lives, they don't even see it.
That's what I've been saying. We shouldn't
Yeah.
be living life like this. We need to all be
Yeah.
living in the forest, living off the
I agree.
planet,
I
not killing
agree.
it like how
And
we are,
growing pumpkins.
and growing pumpkins and growing all of our stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
Mm-hmm.
we could talk about that for a long time. I
We
have
could.
many opinions. But you can also you know, use a pumpkin for helping you spend time outdoors, connecting with the falling leaves as the pumpkin grows. So, like, if you want to grow your own pumpkin, you can
Yes.
nurture it with your intention from seed to pumpkin, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it just helps you with that energy of nature and energy of sense and with your craft and all of that.
Mm-hmm. So I read somewhere that you can charge a white pumpkin under the full moon and carry that energy into the season, and then use the seeds from that pumpkin that you've charged under the full moon to plant your garden the following spring to carry all of your intentions forward into the following year.
Oh,
Yeah, and I don't know why it said white pumpkin only. Why not any pumpkin?
I feel like you could do any pumpkin. I
That's what
mean,
I think too.
if you want to talk about colors and then like the color
That's true. The
symbolism of what orange means versus white and blah blah
mhm.
blah, then maybe you could choose your pumpkin based on the color that works best for what your intent is.
Well,
And
and
white can be used for anything.
that's true. And y'all don't forget that the full moon this season in October is the Friday, I believe, before Samhain.
That's what I think
So,
so. Yeah.
so yeah, if you want to charge a pumpkin in the full moon, that would be the
I think
great time to
it's
do
the
it.
28th.
Okay.
I remember looking at it.
Okay.
28th or 29th. Yeah.
And
So,
then, as we said in our After Dark series on the Samhain rituals, after Samhain, you're talking about nature. Place your pumpkins out in nature so the animals can eat them.
yes,
And
also talked
yeah,
about me throwing stuff off the back of
we
my
did.
balcony into the forest. Yeah.
And you can actually turn your jack-o'-lantern into a bird feeder.
Oh, how?
Yeah, you just have to, I mean, it's the empty shell. You can put
Mm-hmm.
bird seed into it,
Oh,
but
okay.
you have to be careful because it does rot and you don't
Yeah,
want
you
the
don't want
birds
the
eating the
animals to be
rotten. Yeah,
sick. Yeah.
yeah. But I
Um,
thought that was a good idea too.
mhm. No, that's a great idea.
Hmm.
I think also with working with pumpkins, you can combine, herbs that are also associated with what pumpkins can be associated with, like
That's true.
protection. So you
Hmm.
can also in your jack-o'-lantern, if you while you're carving it, you can add protective herbs like cinnamon and cloves and all of that.
Ooh, you could actually do like a cinnamon oil on the outside.
Ooh, that would be cool.
You could actually put sigils with cinnamon
Yes,
oil that can't be
sigils
seen.
all around.
Yeah.
Oh, you could do a whole sigil and then around it, do it with your oils in it, in
Hmm.
the sigil, and then do it
Yeah.
like that. See,
That's a good idea.
look at
We're
that.
so smart.
We're very smart.
What would you all do without us?
Right? Crash and burn.
Crash and burn.
um, but I really like that idea of combining other things in your
Hmm.
jack-o'-lantern or in your pumpkin to help accentuate the qualities that you're trying to pull out of it.
I like that idea. Yeah.
And then pumpkins have energetic boundaries. So when engaging in, protective practices, you can use this and visualize, a pumpkin colored light surrounding you like a shield. And that could be white, like a white pumpkin, or if you have a green one or
Or
orange
orange
or
or
whatever it may be,
hmm.
to help provide protective like measures throughout
Hmm.
the thinning of the veil. And then pumpkin seeds and pumpkin slices and even small pumpkin figurines can be also used as protective talismans.
That's a good idea.
It's like a tool,
Yeah.
And then for these talismans, you can charge them in the sun or however it may be, you can cleanse them under some water and set your intention for protection, for transformation. I mean,
Hmm.
again, I always feel like a broken record because we know all of these things.
Right.
It's just when you're working with something new, you might not think about everything and you're like, oh, I can do that with a pumpkin. I can
Hmm.
do that.
Hmm.
So all of that might be something you might want to do with your pumpkin.
Which I would like to point out that you can use a hollowed out pumpkin as a cauldron.
See, you're over here with super fun things. I'm over here like, yeah, you can run it underwater and cleanse it and use it as a
Well,
protective
yeah.
measure. And you're like, it could be a cauldron. Yeah.
I mean, your stuff is good too.
Anyways, River's more fun. I'm more informational.
River's just drunk right now.
um, but again, I'm gonna be the boring one. And I feel like a broken record. So pumpkins are pumpkins.
Pumpkins are pumpkins.
Pumpkins are
An herb is
pumpkins.
an
Like an herb is
herb.
an herb. A pumpkin is a pumpkin. Do what you want.
You could do a pumpkin wish spell. You know how pumpkins are associated with wishes. So
Oh.
I read this somewhere, and hopefully I gave them credit for it, because I know when I was doing the research, I was reading all kinds of websites, and I think it's one of the ones listed. But
Yeah.
you take 3 dry pumpkin seeds and you write one word related to your wish on each of the seeds. And then at the time of the full moon, which it is October 29th, I wrote it down,
Okay, good.
of this year, take your seeds outside and hold them in your hand and make your wish, and then say a spell or a rhyme or whatever you might want to do. You're supposed to toss them into running or flowing water like a stream so it can
Mm-hmm.
carry it out to the universe.
Oh, okay.
I don't have a stream in my backyard,
I do.
so that's true, you do.
I do.
But if you don't have access to flowing water, you can actually burn them in a bonfire or in your cauldron and release it to the universe that way, because the smoke will, just like when we burned our bay leaves like we did on that TikTok. Or
Mine like
we
busted
tried to
out in
burn.
fire.
Yeah,
Yeah, mine didn't want to
yours
burn.
yours didn't burn.
No.
But I also read that, we were talking about how the stems are edible, but if you dry out the stems, you can keep them in with your magical ingredients to boost the wishing spells that you might want to do, or the prosperity spells that you might, put them in with all your other ingredients,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll boost wishing and prosperity of those herbs and crystals and things. But you got to dry them because you don't want ants coming in or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Interesting.
Hmm.
I mean, I feel like everything that I have in here from here on out is
Has been
repetitive.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did want to say, you can place your pumpkin near your tarot cards when you're doing readings,
Mm-hmm.
and that will help you draw on the pumpkin's energies to help you reveal the unknown. And this is something you would love: light pumpkin scented candles near your
Ooh,
divination or
I
scrying tools.
love pumpkin scented candles, but now I'm
Hmm.
wondering, based on the beaver
Oh,
secretion,
yeah.
what is the pumpkin scent that we're inhaling?
Good question.
Yeah.
But if you use pumpkin scented candles near your divination or scrying tools, it helps increase the potency of your readings. And keeping a pumpkin in your divination space is said to provide extra insight in your
Mm-hmm.
readings.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Like leaving
Hmm.
just like a pumpkin in your space might even help you. It doesn't have to be directly with like uh you know what I mean? Like in a spell. You don't have to have
Hmm.
that pressure. You don't have to do all of that. It could just be in your space and provide all of these things.
And then I feel like kitchen witchery is more your domain, but I feel like for sure there's so many things that you can do with kitchen witchery.
There's a lot you can do, like incorporating, like how you do your stew, where you cook your
Hmm.
stew in the hollowed out pumpkin. Oh man, I love that. That's one of my favorite things.
Yep.
Um,
That's we talked about that on our Samhain episode, or
yes,
Samhain rituals. I do.
yes.
I hollow out a pumpkin shell, and it's usually one of the baking pumpkins. There's a difference between the cutting pumpkins and the baking pumpkins. The
Mm-hmm.
baking ones are sweeter, and I hollow it out and I cook um, I call it Samhain stew in the pumpkin shell. And then I also always air fry pumpkin seeds, batches and batches of them every
Mm-hmm.
year.
Mm-hmm.
And I make both savory and sweet batches. And then, of course, pumpkin pie.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, I love a good pumpkin pie. I love your Brunswick stew, but I really haven't made anything specific with
Have you
pumpkin.
have you made pumpkin bread? I bet you would make a mean
Oh,
pumpkin
I have
bread.
made pumpkin bread. Pumpkin bread is really good. There's a
Mm.
banana bread that we've been on like a kick You know,
Mm-hmm.
my banana bread is very good. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but my banana bread is very good. So
Well,
I'm
and that's
thinking I
hard
could
to
probably do
do
a pumpkin bread.
because being gluten free to come
Yes,
up with something good,
it's
that's amazing.
difficult working with all the different flours and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I really want to try like a mushroom stew
Mm.
in a pumpkin. I think it would be very
A
good.
mushroom stew and a pumpkin. What I like about the Samhain stew, it goes really well with the pumpkin flavor. My mouth is watering, but when I cook it, the flavor of the pumpkin matches really well with the
Hmm.
Brunswick stew.
Yeah.
So you would have to find something. I think it would need to be tomato based, maybe. I don't know.
I
Maybe
don't
cream
know.
based. I
I
don't
don't know.
know.
I want something out of a pumpkin.
Yeah.
And I want to make a lot of things with pumpkins. But when we are recording this episode, I have not yet done anything with pumpkins. So
I'm
I will
I'm
get back to
curious
you if I
about
do.
doing the first pumpkin pie thing where you put the cream and the honey and the
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I'm so
To try it
curious
out.
as to
Yeah.
how that would taste.
Probably very good.
Yeah, I
But it
think it
would
would
be
be
more
fun.
like a,
It might be like an eggnog type thing,
yeah,
except
like
for
an eggnog
like
is
a
a good,
drink.
a
Yeah.
drink. I was thinking about, like the beautiful sauces that they put over like cakes and everything.
Mm,
That's what I feel like that would be. Like that would turn into like a nice
mm.
glaze or something. Look at us
I know.
talking about food.
I'm hungry.
Me too. I feel like so my husband and I, we were supposed to go grocery shopping before we recorded,
Hmm.
and we were gonna get some chicken wings because we feel like we haven't eaten anything satisfying. And so
Wings are
they
satisfying.
are very satisfying, but we were going to make them ourselves, so we didn't spend money out. And he was going to bread them for me because I miss fried chicken being
Yeah.
gluten free. And
Yeah.
so he was going to bread them for me. And hopefully we can still do that.
Yeah, we went a
That's what
little
I'm
long
looking
on
forward
this
to now.
episode, but
That's okay. I think
it
that's
was
okay.
fun. I love talking to you guys and
I
to
know.
Ren and all of that.
Yeah. And especially talking about kitchen stuff. I love kitchen witchery.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For
But
sure.
I don't have an outro in front of me. So
Uh-oh.
let's see how I do without
Okay.
reading anything. So
Okay.
that's all we have.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for listening. If you want to see more or check us out anywhere, you can go to www.c3witchypodcast.com. There you will find links to all of our social medias. That's Twitter, now X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I already said Facebook.
Yeah, I
Yes, I
think you
already
said
said Facebook.
Facebook. Yeah.
And then you can also find links to our Patreon and Buzzsprout subscriptions, and it has all the information there for you. And you can also check out our merch also through our website or through www.c3witchypodcastmerch.com. We have a limited edition time merch
Mm-hmm.
out right now. We completely understand if you guys can't get it. The economy's not
Yeah.
great right now. It's
Yeah.
completely understandable. Um, and what else? If you can't support us that way, you can support us by leaving us reviews. You can follow us on our social medias. Oh, and YouTube. We are on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
You can
YouTube.
subscribe to us on YouTube, leave us some comments. We really love to interact with you all
Yeah, one of our most common questions is where can I find you guys? So we are on all podcast
everywhere
platforms,
at
but
C3 Witch Podcast.
if you can't find us, then go to our website, the
Mhm.
www.c3witchypodcast.com. All of our episodes are there. That is
All
the
of our
number one
episodes.
question that I get on Facebook is where are you? Where can
We
we
are
find you?
everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Spotify, Apple
Mm-hmm.
Podcast, iHeartRadio,
Mm-hmm.
all of the other ones. I mean,
Stitcher.
Stitcher.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
we should be anywhere that you all are listening.
So I think that's it. So we'll be back.
We'll be back. And until then, stay witchy.
Woo.